Hello and welcome to Rule of Three's video review for Marvel Heroes, a third-person Diablo-style MMO from Gazillion. With me today is just Sinister Dreamer. How are you doing? Or not Sinister, Impressions. Impressions is the only one here.
Annoyed that you forgot my
Yeah,
name. No, it's cool.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Sinister. Well, it's because I was thinking Sinister couldn't download the game due to his computer for some reason not being able to handle Steam. So unfortunately, he's going to be missing from the review. He'll be back. He will be back next week though. So with that. So Marvel Heroes is a MMO from Gazillion. Like I said, it stars a bunch of Marvel heroes, and the
Go
story,
figure.
yeah, tons of them. And the story behind it is Doctor Doom gets his hand on the Cosmic Cube and springs pretty much every villain from Marvel free from a high security prison, and is trying to conquer the world and all that with the Cosmic Cube. It was okay. The story kind of after that just kind of fell apart when after like the initial opening cutscene. And you just kind of dealt with each villain as they kind of just popped up randomly. The linkage to them to the main story was a little weak, so I mean, it was a little weak, but it was cool that they got so many of the villains in. Impressions?
If any of you are familiar with DC Universe Online, I see this as the story-wise, this is the Marvel equivalent. Yeah, whereas DC Universe created some story plot hole so that the player could be involved in that universe. This is the way Marvel basically did it. Because at the beginning, if you watch the opening cinematic, which is available, the trailer, which is available online, you see the Doctor Doom put the Cosmic Cube onto Uatu, the Watcher's face. And I think isn't that the reason why it kind of messes everything up?
Well, no, the Watcher was trying to stop him because you could see what Doctor Doom was gonna do, and he's like, "I'm here to stop you," and Doom's like, "Nope, dead."
So it had nothing to do with
Kills
the
him.
fact that it had nothing to do with the fact that it was the Watcher, and yeah, well, I
Not
don't
that
know.
I know of. I haven't gone that far. From what I know, it's just Doctor Doom's trying to take over the world, and the Watcher knows exactly what he was going to do with the cube in order to do that, and how to try to stop him.
Okay, well, whatever. I thought that was the reason.
No. Anyway,
Anyways, go on.
I'm done. This is that portion. You got anything
That's
else you
all.
want to say?
That's it. Yeah, story wise.
Okay, so we'll get into gameplay. So, like I said, this is made by some of the people that made Diablo 2, as I recall, like one of the creative directors or something like that. So it is very, very much inspired by Diablo 2, except instead of it being, you can join other people's games, it is literally an MMO with Diablo style. So you're playing Diablo with everybody else on the same server in the exact same area. So you have clicking does your basic attack, left click does a little bit more of a special attack that uses a like a focus bar or whatever
Spirit.
spirit, yeah, spirit's what it's called, in order to do the moves, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 do other attacks.
You map
So
and customize your board,
yeah,
typical Diablo fashion.
yeah. So I mean, combat wise, it was it worked very well. It is very much very work. It's a lot more like Diablo 2 than 3 in terms of what they did with it, and I think that's a good thing because I had a little issues with some of the stuff in Diablo 3, combat and how they set up everything. But like I said, it's very simplistic. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well set up in terms of how they did the click combat. Impressions?
It was Diablo, like you say. I thought it was a little weak in the sense of, I didn't care for the interface or the clicking system for a superhero game. It's I think if you wanted to play this type of, format, you would be playing Diablo. This is kind of just an excuse to work in the Marvel universe, which I was okay with. I like the Marvel universe, but the one thing that it did do that it basically made every character you only have a certain number of characters, Marvel characters, and you'll occasionally see three Iron Mans in one room or three Daredevils in one room, or some multiple combinations of each of the characters. And I just didn't care for that. The whole point of Marvel is to have several unique characters all grouping up, and I just didn't like seeing the multiples. But that's the restriction considering it's an MMO.
Right, and let's talk about that. So the character selection, like he was talking about, if you just download, it's a free to play game, so you don't have to pay anything. And if you don't pay anything, you get 5 heroes. You get, I believe, Scarlet Witch, Storm, Daredevil, Hawkeye, and the Thing. And the problem this does is, like you said, half the servers are Daredevils, Hawkeyes, Miss Marvels. I mean, they're just everywhere, and it does create kind of this disconnection with the game because everybody's the same bloody character. Every now and then you run into a couple of Iron Mans, a couple of Wolverines, a couple of Deadpools, and it's just with an MMO of this, like it's just there's seeing the same character model everywhere, and it's the same hero. Unlike Diablo, where I mean, it's still the case where everybody kind of still looks the same, but where it wasn't an MMO, you didn't have like 60 people on the screen that looked exactly the same. I think that's probably one of my biggest problems with this game in terms of that. That and all, like I said, all the really cool characters like I wanted to play, like Cable and Deadpool and Wolverine. They're ridiculously expensive unless you find them in game, and that is almost they're super hard to find.
How much was it to
Like
for
20
like a,
bucks a character.
yeah, well, I guess technically that's like paying for a new game, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but where they have a roster of I think almost like 25 characters.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
ridiculously expensive.
it is, yeah.
It was like 130 bucks if you wanted to unlock them all before the game launched.
Is it a set way to find all the characters?
It's a random drop. It's like I
Oh,
said, once again,
okay.
this game uses Diablo style. Everything is random.
Okay, yeah, I never tried finding anybody, so
Yeah.
maybe I should have just so I could see what I could have ended up with.
Yeah, like I ended up with we both played as Daredevil, but I also found Hawkeye after a quest. Apparently, like the first quest set, if you turn it in, you get one character, and I got Hawkeye.
Oh
Random.
wait, you can only pick one of the five?
Yeah, once you pick one of the five, that's it, and then the rest of
Oh,
them you have to find randomly or get from.
I didn't
Apparently,
even I didn't even know that.
the first time you beat the campaign, you get you get the you get one character, and once you beat like the second mission or whatever, you get a character, and those are the only two times you're guaranteed two characters, but
You
they are
get to
random.
choose.
No,
Oh,
they're
no.
random.
God, okay.
Yeah, no, I would have chosen if I had to choose, I would have gone my freaking Cable, and had Cable and Daredevil and been happy, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I wanted my Hulk, so yeah.
Yeah. And so, like you said, you felt the same way about just seeing like kind of the same character just on the map at all times.
Yeah, I did not that ruined it for me. Ruined the world, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. The next thing I want to go into is the talents. Once again, like Diablo, there's a talent system. There's 3 trees. Each tree is different abilities and kind of play style. It worked well to a point. I have a feeling, based on the level I was on, that you can pretty much get every talent in this game. I don't know if they stop you at a certain point or what the level cap is, but I mean, I was getting down these trees pretty fast, and they only had like 2 or 3 points you could put in them, and some of them
It,
only had one.
it wasn't as much of a grind. I mean, yeah, there's a grinding element for the leveling, but there
Yeah, the
weren't that many.
talents.
Yeah, there wasn't that much to distribute them to.
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, I'd always by the time like I actually unlocked like a new move and I could put the talents into it, I'd have like 7 of them.
did you get to the bottom one? The
No,
main?
I didn't get to level 30.
Yeah, those take that. I didn't have the time for that.
Like I got to like level 20. Um, but yeah, I had plenty of points. So I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a little too simplistic, and I mean, I shouldn't have 5 talent points in at one time. To just because I have nothing else to put them in at, for the most part. So I don't know. That's my feeling on it. You?
For which one? The
Just the
talent?
talents, yeah, just in general.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, it's not very many. It doesn't take you that long to level. So, yeah, like I said, not much of a grind. So that's about
Okay.
it.
Okay. So next thing I want to talk about is dungeons and open world events where you fight the villains. So the most time you fight villains are in instances. You just go in, you beat up bad guys, eventually get to whatever villain is, whether it be Shock or Doc Ock or whatever they have in the dungeon. The dungeons themselves were okay. They just seemed very repetitive. There wasn't like really anything new per dungeon other than skin. All the
It's a,
villains had this, or the minions had like the exact same abilities as the previous minions.
yeah, it's the Diablo format. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least Diablo had a bunch of like different types of enemies, whereas this one just seemed to have like 3 to 4 different types of enemies,
Yeah.
and they just recycled them with different skins. And then the villains themselves, I mean, they very lived up to their abilities and what they could do when you're fighting them. So I mean, the fights with those tend to be kind of fun, especially the open world ones, which I'll talk about in a second, like Venom. Did you have anything you want to say on the dungeons instances?
Repetitive, definitely. I didn't really, I'm not the biggest Diablo fan. I appreciate it for what it is, and I did play it back, back when it was, the game to play, but it's not one that has endured as far as, my gaming interests are concerned, so it didn't carry over that much. Not, there wasn't much for me to carry over into this game anyways, as
Right.
far as interest, so yeah.
And did you get to any of the open world villains at all, like
I mean,
Venom?
no, I just got to Shocker, or a little bit after Shocker.
Okay, so later in the game, since I'll just kind of comment on this, like instances where you fight villains, there are a couple of open world bosses you can fight. The ones I ran into were Venom and Rhino, and those fights tend to be kind of cool. But once again, you run into that problem where you have like 60 Daredevil, 60 Storms all on the same screen, and it just creates just kind of mass chaos where you're trying to click on the person to attack and you're clicking on characters, and once again, it's just everybody looks the same, so you can't really tell very well if that's you doing whatever. So that was kind of my big issue with it, was just mass mob of everybody looking the same with the open world. But like I said, it was kind of fun fighting Venom and Rhino on the open world because they were
Which
both
is
solid.
which is acceptable in any other context, but like I said, the whole point of the superheroes is they're all unique, and yet you have multiple copies of them, seeing it's the free version running around.
Right. Okay, and the last thing I want to go into is the crafting system in this. So, in order to craft in this game, if you find, whatever gear drops and you can't use it, you can either sell it for money, or you go to Ant-Man or one of the other crafters in the game. Ant-Man's just the main one in the Avengers Tower that I know of. And you give him that stuff. He will then level up as you give him stuff, and depending on the quality and level of it, depends on how much experience he gets, he will level up and allow you to build better stuff. That part works fine. The problem is in order to build stuff, you need to also find crafting materials, which take forever to find, and by the time you get enough, they're completely worthless to make whatever you needed to make. So that was my feeling on the crafting system, was, I like the idea of, giving crap to Ant-Man or whoever to level up, since I can't use it, but the actual crafting of items tended to be kind of annoying. I don't know if it gets better later, but where I'm at, it was terrible. Impressions? Any thoughts
Yeah,
on that?
the same way. It's. I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. It just, it was a very basic system that I didn't really feel like investing much of my time into. Again, like I said, I'm not the biggest Diablo fan.
Right.
Uh, is that how Diablo works?
No, Diablo is different. That one you had to get recipes and things.
Well, I guess I can appreciate that it was simpler than it could have been. I would instead of them going the full Diablo route and making it super complicated.
Well, Diablo wasn't even super complicated. You still leveled them up. You had to go get, like, certain items and give it to them, and then you leveled up.
Okay,
It
well,
was still ridiculously easy. Or give them a certain amount of gold. I forget which one. I haven't played Diablo 2 in a while. Or even Diablo 3, for that matter. So, anyways, I think that's it. Any last comments before we go into rating?
just go back to what I said about the interface and the controls. It seems more like they're forcing the Diablo, a gameplay mode onto a game that doesn't really suit it very well. At the very least, I feel superhero games should be on console, or maybe if it's a good one like Batman, I guess it's acceptable on PC. But it just see that kind of interface, holding a controller in your hand, with punch, kick, jump, certain specials, etc. That just works better. That seems more, it seems like a more intuitive interface in my opinion, rather than just clicking certain spots on the mouse or on the screen with the mouse. I didn't care for it.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go into rating this game. Here at Rule of Three, we do not use a point system or number system because I don't want to have to deal with that kind of crap. Instead, we use a buy, rent, pass. However, this is a free-to-play game, so instead of buy, rent, pass, we do a play, or pass. Play means, it's free, so you should try it out, play it. It's at least fun enough to where we enjoyed it, to where, give it a shot. Pass means we, didn't care for it. You can, kind of skip it. You won't miss anything.
We could leave the buy category in there to see if we want to recommend buying a character.
Oh yeah, buying this one. And if we say for some reason say buy, I don't think either of us will. At least I won't. Mean buy characters for this game because it's enjoyable. So since I already kind of gave my, I actually passed on this one. I couldn't get into it. It was I love the Marvel universe. I love it more than DC. But having, like I said, I played Daredevil, but seeing like 70 other Daredevils in the exact same area kind of broke my, feeling of being unique of a superhero. It would have been nice if I could have created my own, or at least have Daredevil's abilities if I wanted to, or at least look different. But and then the character purchasing is way too expensive. The random dropping of characters is way too rare. The interface, yeah, it's a little scrambled. The combat I liked, but it just didn't feel right. There's also a ton of bugs I ran into, and that also hurt it a lot. So that's my feeling on it. Impressions?
Yeah, generally, I would pass, but let me qualify that in a couple different ways. If you're a fan of Diablo, try out the game. It's free. It's free to play. If you like Marvel superheroes, all the better. You'll appreciate the interface and you'll appreciate the universe as long as you can get over the fact that there'll be a billion copies of yourself running around. If you like the Marvel universe but don't care for Diablo, much like myself, don't bother with it. This game is not what you expect at all out of a superhero game. If they couldn't do it on a full-blown console interface and system, well, I don't expect them to be able to do it on the PC that much better, and especially with this kind of format. If you, for whatever reason, have the money to burn, I feel that buying a character will greatly improve the experience.
Probably would.
Just because you get to play as the character that you want. But again, that's at your own. Do they all cost $20?
They're skewed. They're skewed.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's just say an average of $20 if you want to actually invest some time into this game, playing a character that you like, and then maybe it'll be worth, buying the character. But as it stands, my personal ranking is a pass.
All right, so there you have it. You have 2 passes on Marvel Heroes. Thanks, Impressions, for showing up. That's it for this review. Next week we are reviewing The Last of Us. Finally, I got my copy late, so that's why we're doing it a little later, as I haven't had a lot of time to play it at the moment.
I already beat it.
I hate you. Shut up. Shut up.
This part when this happens.
Shut up, Rob! I will destroy you. All right, so with that, make sure to leave a comment below for our summer giveaway. Any game you want giveaway, subscribe up top, tell your friends, go to rule3.com for the written reviews, which should be up hopefully soon after this review is posted. Like us on Facebook and Twitter, all that good stuff. And thanks for listening, and stay tuned next week. And always remember to trust in the rule of 3.